we start, just a quick heads up. Mastering any class in Dofus is difficult. It doesn't mean that if your class is in a lower tier in this tier list, it's the worst class or you're dumb for playing it. Not at all. Any class can be difficult if you want to master it like to the highest levels. But of course some classes are more difficult than other classes to play. Well, let's get started. This tier list has 5 tiers. We got the 9000 plus IQ tier, we got a difficult tier, the average tier, the little Timmy tier, and master it with the eyes closed, or the so-called Roblox tier. Starting off with the Eka flip. Well, to be honest, I played this class a lot, but if I'm gonna be really honest, the class doesn't bring too much to the fight. It's basically an erosion bot with some interesting positioning options. Not too bad, but I'd say Little Timmy could master this as well, so I'm gonna put it Eka flip in a Little Timmy tier. The thing that makes it not Roblox tier is that you actually have to think when to Eka luck someone or when to repercussion. So yeah, Little Timmy tier it is. Next up is the Sadida. Well, Sadida actually, I hate to play against it, I hate to play as it. I never actually, well, I played it in the past when I was in my dark days actually. But not too easy actually to play. If you really want to master Sadida, there's a lot of things you have to consider, like when do you go for MP reduction, when do you go for heals, when do you go for support, when do you go for, well, damage. There's a lot of options you can do as Sadida. There's a lot of summons to control now with the new summoning control thingy. I'd say Sadida is difficult tier. Yeah, I think it's difficult tier, despite being hated by most people, most sane people at least. I think it's still respectable if you manage to master Sadida and be really good at it. It's really annoying for the enemy and good for your allies. So, difficult tier for Sadida. Moving on with the Feka. Well, Feka, you have some damage, you got some shields. I think it's a bit more difficult than Eka flip because you have some more options with the gravitational glaive, with the ages, when to CC invuln, when to range invuln. Not too difficult though. I guess average tier is fine for Feka. Yeah, average tier seems fine. There we go with the Masquerader. Very cool class. Not very high skill to be honest. Well, so there's the thing with the mask. You have to always consider like, where do I switch to this mask this turn, or do I go for damage, or... I think decision making is more difficult with this character rather than the actual spells, because a lot of the times you're not gonna do more than 3 or 4 spells in a turn. So I'd say Little Timmy. Little Timmy could definitely play this with a bit of practice. Yeah, it's a bit easier. Yeah, I think it's a bit easier than Eka flip, so I'll put it like behind the Eka. I think most people expect me to put Kra in the Roblox tier, since, well, it's just an archer like in any other game. Archer's probably the most easy. Not really. In PvP, if you get like rushed as a Kra, it's very difficult to play and still be useful. So if you really want to master this, there's some interesting spells like Crushing Arrow against Zellers or Jump IOPS or whatever. Yeah, the -100 MP spell. There's a lot of interesting things with Kra that puts it just above Roblox, I think. I would go for Little Timmy, but definitely easier than Masquerader or Eka. So yeah, Kra and Little Timmy as well. So the Panda is a very interesting class in my opinion. It has a lot going for it. But is it too difficult? I don't think so. I think average tier is fine. Let me explain. So in PvM, pandas are probably the most useful and most perhaps difficult. But in PvP, I just think that a lot of times if you have a panda on your team, it's usually only gonna do vuln and throw around people. A debuff maybe, and a damage panda is not that difficult to play either. Yeah, I think average tier is fine. Probably it's a bit more difficult than a Feka. Yeah, because you usually run out of time as a panda because there's so much you can do in a turn. But it's kind of like straightforward most of the time, so I think average tier is fine. Next up is the Shrem. Now the Shrem, you could think like, oh, you just go invis and do some, put some traps and do some spells, and it's easy because you cannot get touched. I think Shrem is difficult to play, difficult to master. You cannot be too obvious with your invisibility, because if you get revealed, you just die. You have to make good trap combinations or like play good support Shrem. Based on what build you're playing, agility is probably a bit easier than the trap combo Shrem, the malevolent Shrem, or the Shrem funeste, like French people would probably say. Difficult to master, easy to pick up, but very difficult to master definitely. Hello, young man. Okay, I'll never do that again. But next up is the old lady or man, the Enertroph. I kinda hate this character with all my heart, because passive estate is so annoying to play against, like the bag, the damage split, or the sacrifice bag, or the healing on the summons, and Enertroph has a lot going for it. I don't think, however, that it's very difficult to play. I wouldn't say little Timmy tier. It's definitely more difficult, or there's just way more to it than with a Mecha Flip or a Mask or a Crab, but I think average tier is fine. But yeah, probably here in average tier, that's a good spot for it. I think Fat Guy is still more difficult to master than an Enertroph. Although you can do nice like combinations with the Zeller, the bag swap, or with an Heliotrope. In teams, Enertroph can work very, very well. But yeah, I just on its own, I think it's average tier to master. Yeah, it's average. Next up is the Eneripsa. So I don't think they are as easy as most people think they are. Is that because I main one? Perhaps. But also, hear me out. A lot of the times when you need an Eneripsa, when you need a heal of an Eneripsa, you see that he or she is out of position. Well, I cannot heal you because I got pushed away 2 turns ago and I still didn't manage to get back. Well, that's probably the Eneripsa's fault. If it positioned a bit better in the first place, that wouldn't have happened. Also, sometimes, especially with fire Ennies, they decide to go for a full damage turn while you could actually heal one of your teammates to save them. So do I think it's little Timmy? No, I think it's more difficult. I don't think it's difficult, however, or 9000 plus IQ at all. I think average tier is fine for any. It's probably the easiest one to play on the average tier right now. So it's more, yeah, it's easier than the Enertroph or the Feka or the Panda. But still, do not underestimate a good Eneripsa. Or maybe it's better to not overestimate a bad Eneripsa. Anyway, moving on to the next class, the Zeller. So yeah, I can be very like spectacular about this, but 9000 plus IQ. Zellers just have it all. They have damage, they got positioning, they got like a fuck ton of spells they can do every turn. They are very hard to pick up, they are even harder to master. I think Zellers players, like if you see good Zeller players in KTA or other tournaments, it's just unbelievable what they can do with one class. And just in one turn they can just bring like 4 people around, or like, I don't know, they can do literally everything. To be honest, Zellers impress me. I am a big fan of the class. They look so cool. Their spells look very cool. I don't know. I just love everything about Zellers. They're super difficult, like I said. I think they're the hardest class in the game. Perhaps. Well, we'll see a bit later. But yeah, Zeller definitely very hard to master. Yeah, I just cannot even begin to explain what they can do within a turn. To be honest, it surprised me that I don't think there's a good Zeller play that has animations on, because there's just way too much stuff going on. You can do like, I don't know, like 20 spells in a turn, and it's just insane. So Zeller, easily 9000 plus IQ. I would even say 10,000 plus, but I'm not sure. So, from Zeller moving to IOP, it's like the 2 polar opposites. The IOP, the basic swordsman, does it have a lot going for it? No. It has damage, it has erosion. It's like a Kra to me. It's like, when do you go in? That's the most difficult thing. Like, when do you jump in? I think it's similar as Kra. I just leave them next to each other. Little Timmy could easily play IOP. If you master IOP, you probably... Well, I don't know if you guys know the YouTuber Tarkan. It's the French Dofus YouTuber. He's only playing IOP. All the different elements, all the different builds. He's very good at it. I think he's like he mastered IOP, you could say. And well, I wouldn't say it's Roblox tier, but definitely not any of those other classes. It's not comparable. You just pick when boost turn 1, when do you go in, jump in, die, or kill someone, and that's your game, basically. But I'm not an IOP master, so I could be completely wrong at that, but it doesn't seem like there's too much to it. So yeah, little Timmy tier for the IOP. Hupper Mage. Now the Hupper Mage for me is a class where you can clearly see the difference between like someone that just picked it up or knows one combo. I'm looking at you, Crit Huppers. or someone that truly understands like the full potential of the Hupper Mage, like everything it can do. So difficult tier for me. I don't think it's comparable to Zeller, but still, I think it's difficult, probably more difficult than SRAM. Yeah, I'd say it's more difficult. So you can do a lot with, for example, the Elemental Trap has like 4 different possibilities, and you have so much different combos you can do with the Elemental reactions. Obviously, Pushback Upper, very popular this meta. Kinda destroys the purpose of the combining the elements and everything, but still cool mode to play. Crit Hupper is also kinda like only one trick pony, but if you look at like the full potential of a Hupper, like look at the water Huppers, the air Huppers, or the multi-element Huppers. Not the crit ones, but just the multi. They're very interesting. Next we have the Summoners, the Osamoras. Well, I can keep this one pretty short. Osa has a lot going for it, a lot of different summons, different possibilities, different play styles, like go full support, go damage, go, well, both. You can do a lot with Osa. I think difficulty here is fair. Probably like here. Yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, I don't think it's 9000 IQ, but still, a good Osa, very valuable for the team, not easy to master. A ton of spells you can do every turn, especially if you include the summon spells. Difficult, yeah, difficult seems fine. Ujineg. So, who doesn't like dogs? Well, I know someone that does like dogs. It's Little Timmy. Little Timmy loves dogs and cats actually as well. So Uji, kind of like not much going for it. I'd probably put it like here. Not much going for it, like I said. Has erosion. The prey state is interesting, but doesn't require much skill. Just put the right target and you're good to go. CC damagers mainly. You could go water and from range or some builds, but I don't think it's very difficult to play or to master even. Yeah, Little Timmy tier seems fine. The erosion and everything makes it like a bit more. It's a bit more interesting than Roblox tier. I mean, Roblox tier just garbage. But yeah, it's a bit more interesting. It's a very strong class actually. It's a good class. I like it. It's way better than it was before. Well, that's not saying much, but still. It's a good class, especially for 3v3. I like it. Little Timmy, I cannot put it any higher than that. I cannot justify that. So yeah, Little Timmy, dogs and cats. So, will dogs and cats ever be replaced by mechanical pets? I don't know, but in this tier list, yes. I think Steamer is pretty difficult. You know, there's a lot of like crit Steamers that only have like the one trick that they do, boosting up the turret and then going for the crit with the weapon after. Yeah, that's not very difficult to play, but that's not about master. That's not a mastered Steamer or Foggernup. Not at all. That's just a dude that just buys a crit set and swaps a class to Foggernup and then just go Colo. No, I'm talking about like the OGs, like the real Foggernups that play like support and then whoa, they have damage as well and they can do everything. They can lock with the turrets. They can position. They can bring back allies. They can do anything. Also, pushback, very interesting. Not easy to play, or well, easy to play, not easy to master. And that's what this tier list is all about, of course, mastering. So yeah, I think it's in difficult tier. I would argue it is more difficult than most of these classes. Actually, you know what? Okay, I'll put it here. I think it's not as easy as people think it is. Next up is the Sacrier or the Sacrieur. Is there any class that can carry you harder than this one? Probably not. You can play Sacred with a shit set, or like very undergeared, and still beat a lot of the other classes, just because it's so strong by itself. There's more to it, I think, than any of these classes, because you still have to like know when to sacrifice. If you do it at the wrong time, you basically suicide. When do you mutilation for the shield? When can you tank one more turn? It's like those kind of decisions that make it a bit more interesting as a class, in my opinion. But definitely not difficult to master. Not difficult to master. So yeah, Little Timmy could play this. I'd say it's the most difficult ones of all of these. So Little Timmy would take a bit more time to learn this and master this, but definitely possible. So yeah, Little Timmy tier for the Sacred. Now the last two classes. starting with the rogue or the roublard. So in theory, you put two bombs next to each other, they create like a glyph and you damage people and that's it. But it's so difficult to master this. I have a respect for rogue players, like people that play rogue in Colo and stuff. They're like, they suck a lot of times, I'm not gonna lie. They're very bad a lot of times. But if you encounter like good rogue players, like the masters of rogue, holy Jesus, they're so strong. I wouldn't say they're more difficult to mash than a Zeller. I think a Zeller is still more difficult, but definitely up there. Definitely 9,000 plus IQ for the rogue, 100%. It's just making your bombs survive is one like big issue for me, that it makes the class already so much more difficult. And then you're like putting the positioning and doing the damage and not getting put in your own bombs and all that kind of stuff. I think it's a very respectable class to master, and I have a lot of respect for rogue players that are good at their class. So yeah. But I'm not gonna lie, when I'm doing a Colo, like a 3v3 solo queue, and I'm in a team with a rogue, most of the times I'm not too happy if I see that, because there are not many players that are very good at the class, but oh well. And lastly, we have the Heliotrope. It's like also a thing that where you can easily see if a player is like a very good Helio or just like a mediocre or bad Helio. Just for this reason, I think it's 9,000 IQ. So the class on its own doesn't seem that difficult. Well, definitely more difficult than most of them. But like the portal mechanic is very cool and unique. But like taking it to a 3v3 scenario, for example, the pressure that you put on the Helio player is pretty high. Like I couldn't imagine playing like Heliotrope in KTA or like in a big tournament or in any tournament. It's just, you cannot screw up or anything. So if you see like the best Helio players of Dofus, they're really something else. And I think it's a very respectable class to master. And yeah, it definitely belongs in 9,000 plus IQ tier in my opinion. Even though it has less spells in a turn typically than a rogue or a Zeller would do, I still think it's like there's a lot of planning ahead. Like you have to know like, okay, I'm gonna make a portal here so I can hit this guy, but then just before your turn someone blocks a portal with a coward or just stands on it or something, and your entire turn has to like completely be readjusted and you have to think fast. And yeah, I think for that reason it's on 9,000 plus IQ tier for me. So there you have it, my final tier list. As you can see, there's nothing in the Roblox tier, because I think that Roblox is inferior to Dofus. But let me know, do you agree with me? Or do you disagree with some of the classes and some of the orders? Just let me know in the comments, we can have a discussion about it. I love talking about and theory crafting about Dofus, it's so much fun. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.